evening and welcome to another exciting show. Well, I think it's exciting and I know what's coming up. Well, first of all, there's no competition this week, but I've decided to put in two jokes and later on, remember this is a bit of a smutty gag later on, you see. I'm going to tell a mild joke first of all, but I'm going to tell the constipated prostitute joke. So if the vicar's having tea with you, mind you, he's probably heard it before. Oh yes, the constipated vicar joke. Yes. Sorry, constipated prostitute joke. Yes. So if there's children present, push them outside. If you've got pets around, put them in another room. And if you're narrow-minded, well, switch off then. But first of all, you see, that week before last, my video was pulled, and apparently you're not allowed to make gags about, how can I put it? I think you guess what I made gags about. And apparently I didn't realise you're not allowed to do that now, about people of a certain, no, I won't say. But so once upon a time you could, but now you can't. So so I'll be very careful. I'm being very politically correct here, of course. Mind you, it's like a sort of shall we say a carrot in front of me, in front of a donkey, So I want to tell a few gags. Anyway, I'll tell the gag that I told a couple of weeks ago, which was, that was the program that was pulled. And here we go, you see. There's two Indians on a train, and there's a doctor there as well, you see. And all the way along their route, there's one Indian saying to the other one, no, it is womb, which is W-O-O-M-B. And the other one said, no, it's womb, it's W-U-U-M-B. And this is going on and on and on. And the doctors get a bit sort of peed off about it, you see. And eventually, he can stand no more. And he says, excuse me, gentlemen, I must say, he says, I'm a doctor, and the word is womb, which is W-O-M-B. And one Indian says to the other one, and they both say to the doctor, with all due respects, doctor, you've never heard an elephant breaking wind. Anyway, that's not a very good joke, is it? On with tonight's program, which is called, I have to look it up because I forgot what I called it. It's called Misdirection. And what I want to cover tonight is experiences that I've had, and putting, shall we say, it's a bit like, I think life is like a jigsaw puzzle. It's putting the pieces together. Now, I was good friends with someone called Dave Starbuck many years ago. And there's two Dave Starbucks. There's one that lives in Essex, and it's not him. I'm sure he's a very nice person. There's another one who was the first one, I'd say, who lives up north. And he was a comedy magician, and I think he's in his 80s now. And he said to me many years ago that he noticed that in the political arena, it was just, they used the same techniques as he used in his comedy act. And one of them was misdirection. Now, I personally believe that what's happening now, as I've said many times before, there's 4 stages of ideological subversion, and that, without a shadow of doubt, is what we're going through. The 4 stages are, the first stage is demoralization. So you've got to demoralize the public. That is social engineering. Then you've got to destabilize a country. And then you have a crisis, a fake crisis, and then you have a new normalization. Now, the crisis that we have at the moment, I believe, is nothing to do with, and I'll bring the word up, where are we? It's nothing to do with that. That to me is complete fake, and it's a misdirection. It's to misdirect you, because to me what it really is about is finance, and it's nothing more short than that, because you take people's attention away from what's really going on, the finances. And it's a financial realignment in which they're going to steal money off of us, because the the rich want to mop up what's left and bring about a communist society. Excuse me one moment. Now, I think that's pretty obvious. Now, I believe that people are being pushed and pushed and pushed to create social upheaval, a revolution perhaps, because I've noticed when you look on, I call it Arsebook, but Facebook and places like that, all you see is this copper's doing this and the police are rushing in and all this, that and the other to antagonise people. Now, for example, look what happened in Trafalgar Square. There's the press, well, the mainstream media are not there, but strangely enough, the newspapers, you know, had in their headline, oh, the police come in and they do this, they do that, blah, 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 blah. And I believe that we're very, very placid people. And what the elite want is there's to be social uprises. That's why we've got these pressure groups and things like that. And from that, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, there will be a fake leader coming about who will promise the earth, tell everybody what they want to hear, and people will support that fake leader. And once they get into government, then they'll make Chairman Mao and Stalin look like a walk in the park. That is my theory, and that's what I think is going to happen. And I really do believe that this current hoax, and that's what it is not the crisis. That's the crisis is yet to come. And it seems to be adding up when you put the pieces of the jigsaw together. But then you really got to look at the mentality of what we've got actually in government. Now, I've said this several times before. I've worked alongside the civil service. I've never been a civil servant, but I worked alongside them on a freelance basis. And I worked for a local council on a consultative basis. Now, those two experiences, now, I wouldn't say friends, but colleagues, you know, there's some very nice civil servants. It's like anywhere you go, there's the nice and there's the not so nice. But the people that got anywhere in the civil service seem to be the bastards. It's like that in most walks of life. And when I worked alongside the civil service, again, I won't go into the full details. They actually, and I can't remember the exact figures, but it was something like, I think it was around about £36,000 they spent. They employed a risk assessment company. And this risk assessment company charged around £36,000 to save them around £10,000, and the civil servants thought that was a marvellous cost savings. So they spent £36,000 to find out how to save £10,000. Work that one out. I couldn't. But then when I worked in a local authority, and I won't say which one, I came across a kind of civil service mentality. And again, there was a lot of very nice people there that really shook me. And the bastards, not all of them were bastards, but each department was at war with other departments. And I found this when I worked alongside the civil servants. It's like a sort of a war against each other. They're all fighting each other. And a good civil servant is seen to be doing, but doesn't exactly do anything. And it's the same with a politician. A good politician is seen to be doing, but doesn't exactly do anything. Now, for example, my local MP, well, he's nice enough bloke. He's paid to be nice. And he's pretty hard working, I think. I don't agree, politely and respectfully disagree with his politics, because I don't really believe in government. But, you know, he puts his weight in, I think. And he's a backbencher, but he's in a very, very safe seat. I mean, where I live, a Conservative could put a baboon up for election, and they'd probably get in with a raised majority. You know, that's it's so blue around here. And I hasten to add, there's no shall we say worries about strict lockdown around here. So funny, isn't it? But anyway, I think they had a Labour bloke once. I think they strung him up and lynched him, you know. But anyway, that's another story. But the strange thing is that this Conservative bloke, I've seen him twice, and all they do, they delegate. So you know, say ask a question, and you'll get delegated to this person, that person, that, and that again is the art of a good politician, to be seen to be doing, but delegating out all the time, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. So you're seen to be doing, you know, and of course, you know, you sort of used to see in the local paper, you know, he's standing amongst the ladies. Well, it's always the mother and toddler group where he's standing amongst the smell of stale piss and here he is at the mother and toddler group. And you imagine being an MP, they get letters in, you know, sort of, I'm very concerned about you defecating on the staircase where I live. And things like that. Yeah. It's a sort of a mentality. I mean, really, it's a sort of, to me, it's a non-job. But anyway, that's the story. But when I worked at local authority, what I found is that it was little empires and nobody makes a decision. That's another amazing thing. Nobody makes a decision because they're all frightened of showing failure. So the guilt is always passed on to somebody else. So it all goes round and round and round and round, and round in big circles. And I had a situation, now this was in the 1990s, just before sort of computers came in and computer-aided design came in a big way. And it was in a drawing office in those days. What you did, you drew on a old-fashioned drawing boards, you know, out the Stone Age. You made a negative, you drew your drawing out, and then you went along to what was called a die line machine. And it's really simple. You put a piece of paper, your negative on top of the piece of paper, and fed it through this die line machine, and you got a print out. So if you had to go to a meeting to see some structural engineers or quantity surveyors or anything like that, you just nip down, take a print, fold it up, and off you go, you see. Oh, no. Some bright spark, some woman who wanted to make a big name for herself, thought, this is not health and safety. No, we can't have this. I've got to delegate a junior member of staff who has to go and train on how to use a die line machine. Well, anybody could use a die line machine. It's really simple. You know, piece of paper on top of another one, feed it through, wallop, bang, crash. You know, that's it. So what you had to do then is you had to write out a little chit of how many prints you wanted, tie the elastic band around your drawing, put it in a little bucket, and the turnaround was 3 days. Well, if you can't to a meeting that afternoon, you can't wait 3 days. So we became like naughty school kids. You know, you go down to the die line office, and you went down at lunchtime when this old bat was at lunch. And someone to keep a dog eye, say, right, okay, switch the machine on, quickly take a couple of prints. Well, she twigged this, so she had a lock put on the door so you couldn't go in there. So then, you see, ingenuity here, we found out that the council had an account with a print place around the corner. So we sent the office junior around there to get prints, which cost about 10 times more than going down the bottom, downstairs, you know, to take your own prints. No, she stopped that. Right. So we can't wait for these prints. We can't take them ourselves. We can't go around the print place around the corner. So the next thing was to go to the photocopying machine. Now you think a drawing is A0 size or double elephant. It's big, very big. And you had to photocopy bits of your drawing and get the office junior to, with sticky tape, to tape these bits together. And I went to a meeting and everybody, excuse my language, pissing themselves laughing. They said, bloody hell, mate, because it's ridiculous. I said, well, we can't get die line machine. She said, well, what's wrong with your die line machine? Well, when I told them about the bureaucracy, well, the council on this project I was working on employed outside structural engineers, you see, and outside quantity surveyors. And they had an account with the council. So they were just around the corner. So we just sent the office junior around there and used their die line machine. And they charged the council up a phenomenal amount. You know, I think it's about £5 a print, where it normally cost about 10p. You know? And that is how the civil service run or don't run. That's what they're like. And that is the civil service mentality, to create a little empire, to make things official. And it was really like working in an environment of 1984. You know, the book 1984. And that was really what it was, just what it was like. And I've never forgotten that. And that mentality is what we have today in government and unelected civil servants, because that's really what a government is. They're just a bunch of well, I wouldn't say they're elected, but they've got the civil service mentality. And the civil service mentality is the death of creativity. It's the death of civilization, I think. You know, you see these civil servants that they retire in their 50s. They have a fantastic retirement package. They did do. I don't know if they do now. Now, I'm talking about what the 1990s, whether it's changed now or not, I don't know. But I worked for another practice where we was working on this project where we needed a specialist in there. And there was a ex-civil servant who had retired early, and he hired his services out at quite a considerable rate for his expertise, you see. So we thought, that's okay. Well, that wasn't, let's say that's okay. I was a freelance bloke there. That was a decision that was made at a high level. And this chap, I kid you not, now he became self-employed. He didn't have a clue. So about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he'd roll in. And you say, well, where you been? Well, I've been round a golf this morning. But you're self-employed. We expect you to be here about, you know, and I mean, you go to a meeting, there'll be a meeting booked at 10 o'clock, and you'll be sitting there, so where is he? Where's he gone? And he's playing around the golf because he since he left school, he'd worked for the civil service, and he thought that was what life was. You know, you go and have a round of golf in the morning, you do a bit of work in the afternoon, and you sod off home. And he was there about 3 weeks, and they gave him the order to the boot, and there's about half a dozen of us in the office, and we really tweaked it. He wasn't really a specialist. We sort of worked it out for ourselves. We've read a few books, and so, and I mean, there's another situation where now landscape architecture has nothing to do with normal architecture. I know nothing about landscape architecture, but there's some landscaping that needed to be done on another project I was working on, and they've got this so-called specialist landscaper in, who landscape architect, who again had worked for the government, and then and so, oh well, and eventually a couple of blokes, I didn't have anything to do with it, but they read up a few books on trees, and worked it out themselves basically. And this is the thing, civil service is a kind of, you don't achieve anything. Your job is not to achieve things. And I found that, you know, you the shortest distance is from A to B. That's the short point. But when you're dealing with the civil service, no, you don't. You go into orbit around it and hope to actually collide with something. But you can't be creative. That's the end of it. But anyway, on with what I was about to say. I think that if this fake leader rises from the ashes, there's 2 questions that people need to ask, and they won't. And that is, who finances you? Okay? They won't ask that question. And I can guarantee that fake leader will be what I call a fake entrepreneur. Because once upon a time, you know, entrepreneurs would make their money from making, I don't know, rubber ducks, or, you know, Henry Ford made his money from, he was an entrepreneur, from making Ford motor cars. And people got where they were through what they made, you know, what they did. Now we've got these entrepreneurs that are a mystery, and they're all full of, excuse my language, bullshit. Yes, you can, you know, you can be a millionaire overnight. You can do this, you can do that, this, that, blah, 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 and all this. But when you try and dig into the way they made their money, it's just waffle. And I've got a funny feeling it's going to be someone like that. Just a gut feeling. So you say, well, who finances you? And you would have to go searching in to find who this person's financed. And the second question, and I think you know what the second question is why have you said nothing about abolishing usury? Those 2 questions, if they can't answer them, they're fake. So we want to know, 1, who finances them? If they're self-financing, even better. and then cut through all the jungle and all the bullshit to find out who actually does finance them. I mean, if it's somebody that, as I say, made their fortune by making rubber ducks or a new form of whoopee cushion or whatever, then you're on the summit. And again, why haven't I mentioned anything about usury? So that's the two questions. And people will not ask those two questions. And that's what I fear. But I think if we do get a genuine person, I would like to see them restoring the 9 Nordic virtues. And you're thinking to yourself, what are the 9 Nordic virtues? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's number 1 is courage. Number 2 is truth. Number 3 is honor. 4 is fidelity. 5 is discipline. 6 is hospitality. 7 is self-reliance. And 8, industriousness. Now, there's a lot of hoo-ha about where those 9 Nordic virtues came from. And if you go on to Wikipedia, it'll say, oh, it was a right-wing thing and this, that, and the other. But if you cut through that, its origins are supposed to be Saxon. So it's quite interesting. But when you look at, and I bet you, when you look at if there is a fake leader comes to town, which I think there is one on the horizon, you never know. They'll come up from nowhere, and they're probably waiting in the wings now. You know, there's old Mr. Saw Arse probably financing some psychopath in the corner. Excuse me one moment. Financing someone now. Hello, we've got something in the comments section. Let's have a quick look in the comments. What we got here? Here, I might as well show it here. Some spread lies, others know the truth. Who do? Hi, mate. Hello. Nice to see you again. To see you nice. Okay, sorry my video was pulled 2 weeks ago, but I might get up for it tonight. And I've got the dirty joke coming on a little bit later, so you know. But anyway, this is the thing I'm looking at. So just watch out for a fake leader to come up from nowhere, and that's what I think is going to happen. And that fake leader, as I say, once they get to power, they will press ahead with United Nations, Communist Genocide Agenda 2030, and people won't know what's hit them. And again, make Stalin and Mao look like a walk in the park. And that's what I fear, because people are stupid. Really, when you think about it, you know, so that's people are so compliant. You know, wear your obedience muzzle. Oh yes, I must wear my obedience muzzle. Why? Look at the facts. But you can't say that to someone that's got this phobia that they believe the BBC and, excuse my language, and crap like that. But I was actually pondering about what would be supposing there was a genuine person that came to town, shall we say. Now, first of all, they'd have to have a ring of steel around them, because the mainstream controlled media would go from like a pack of wolves. So they'd have to have their own media. They'd have to have their own police force, because they would actually promote lawful civil disobedience, which I kind of like, you know, like Gandhi. I mean, mind you, I haven't got much time for Gandhi, but there's a couple of things he did say, like an eye for an eye makes everyone blind, which I think is true. But shall we say, the film is a very interesting film, but the more I found out about Gandhi, the more I didn't really like him very much. But that's another question. But you know, and I was thinking, well, what would it be like if we got what policies? Because I don't believe, as I say, I don't believe in government, because I think that with government, they stifle creativity, they stifle things, because all right, I suppose you need some form of government, but very light, because before the Industrial Revolution, there was no such thing as unemployment as such. You had poverty, yes, but not on such a huge scale as we've got now, because in a village you would have people, tradesmen, like for example, if you go to places like Austria, and you see the old houses there, they painted the professions of the people on the side wall of their property. So, you know, if there's a wood carver or something, you'd have a wood carver. I tried to think what a prostitute. Sorry, I've got a filthy mind. But or a gynecologist, sorry. I had to come out with that one, didn't I? But anyway, no, joking aside, you know, they had the professions on the side of the houses. So if you wanted someone to go and chop some wood, you know, you look along, oh, there's a bloke who chops wood. And if you wanted you watch clock mended, you see a clockmaker and things like that. Well, all right, we live in an industrialized society, but you notice that with industrialization, less and less people are needed, and conveyor belts and things like that, because in a sense, people like Henry Ford brought the price of cars down, but creativity. And I think that really there's always a lot of work that needs to be done and what people need to do. And if you're handy and skillful, you can generally find work, you know, but that's another story. But let's have a look at the, first of all, oh, hello, we've got busy in chat tonight. What we got here, we've got some spread lies, others know the truth, who is who. The Spanish, and I won't say the word, I think you'll probably understand, more people die from, yes, I 100% agree with you there. I really 100% agree with you there. Let's face it, nature has provided us with an excellent system of breathing, was it nitrogen and oxygen into us, breathing out foul air. I don't really want to breathe it back in, thank you very much, because it's for the CO2. And CO2, when Greta Thunberg was around, she was saying, oh, let's stop the CO2. Now we're breathing it in. But yeah, you're right. To me, it makes no sense at all. You know, for instance, I mean, the only time I wear a mask is if I'm spraying cellulose paint, because I don't want to breathe in cellulose paint. And I can handle it. And I've got an industrial one, you know, with the old, looks like World War II gas mask, this thing, got a canister on it. And I can only handle it for about 5 to 10 minutes. And I have to take it off and sort of run away from where I'm spraying and take a deep breath and then back again, you know. Right. Yes, I agree with you there. Yes, the police are working for them, although they don't know it themselves, you know. But what I was going to say is, what kind of policies, let's have a think, would this government that was honest, which wouldn't stand much of a chance, but we can all dream, can't we? You know, what would they have? And I wrote a few little notes down. So what do you think? Now, number one, you see, this is what I was thinking today whilst I was having a cup of tea. Abolish usury? How do you feel about that? Right. Number two, and that would be repatriation. And it would be done in a very polite and a respectful manner, where it wouldn't be compulsory, but all it would be is a fantastic pensions package for anybody that wanted to return to the country of origin, and also giving them assistance if they want to help that country to get on its feet. So I think it would be a win-win situation. But again, it's not compulsory. And then we return to the moral standards based upon the 9 Nordic virtues, which I read out earlier, and promote the family unit. And that's traditional father, mother, and children. Now, I can see the left-wing loonies have started switching off already. Now, make it law that only an indigenous person who can prove their parents and their grandparents were born in this country, allow them to actually go into government. Now, they've got that law in America, and nobody, or similar, nobody shouts, oh, it's racial and things like that. No, you have to be an American born in America to be the president. That's why Arnold Schwarzenegger is having a bit of problems. Sorry, it's not a very good impersonation of Arnold Schwarzenegger, old Arnie, but because he's Austrian. Then cut the pharmaceutical mafia down to size and implement a natural national health service. Now, in doing that, I wouldn't say turn your back on modern developments, but shunt it in the another direction, i.e. natural medicine, and don't have hospitals that look like hell houses. They've got to be places that are nice and pleasant, and when you see the design of these places, it looks as if they were designed for humans. To me, hospitals look as if they're designed like a slaughterhouse. To me, they look very evil. Anyway, I'm talking about the design, architectural design, not the people who work in it. I'm sure there's some very nice people here. Now, bring anyone. This is the sixth policy. Bring anyone that has served in government since 1973 onwards, including civil servants who fiddled the UK into the former common market, and change agents, to justice. Also, of course, not forgetting banksters and financiers, and etc. And that would be for starters. So that would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? Can you imagine old Doris and also Tony Blair in handcuffs? Mr. Blair, you are accused of committing treason. How do you plead? And that brings me on to the next one. Make it illegal for any public servant to be a Freemason or member of a secret organisation. If they want to be members of such sects, they cannot be public servants. Can't see anything wrong in that, because it's a conflict of interests. Abolish sex education in schools. It's the parents' responsibility, not the authorities. Outlaw the promotion of debauchery in society. I sound like, who was that? Mary Whitehouse, don't I? I used to take the mickey out of her. Now, have a complete clear out of criminally insane lecturers in universities who actively promote the dregs of society and junk art, and then get rid of satanic structures such as the eyesore of the North that pollute our landscape. Return to real architecture instead of communist aggressive architecture that upsets our subconscious. Yes, I think I very much like to see that. That's something that really gets up my ooter. Then we have promote pride in our real heritage and culture, honour and respect our elderly, and above all, show respect for our ancestors. That's what we don't do now. And so it goes on. So you might like to add a few, you never know, sort of have a bit of head scratching on it, you know. So I think it'd be quite interesting. Now, I'll read a few more. Excuse me, because she knows. A few more in chat. And then I'll get on with the dirty joke. So we've got here. No Obama. Yeah, oh, Obama. Ooh. Obama and Michael. Oh, sorry, Michelle. Yes. To me, that was, he was a faco right from big word go, wasn't he? Hang them. Yes, that would be interesting. I mean, I'll be very straight with you. I'm totally against capital punishment. I would be for shoving them on an island as far away from civilization, where they're frozen up their arse most of the year, and build these horrible Soviet-type flats, and all these cameras that they have on us, put them on the island so we can watch them and every move they make. Now, of course, Bill Gates, of course, would have to have his vaccines. And can you imagine him having a vaccine that's tied to a chair? He'd scream blue murder because he knows what's in it. Don't. Here, Mr. Gates, is perfectly safe. And of course, they'd have to have fluoridated water, and they have to have GMO crops because they've told us it's all perfectly safe, isn't it? So they'll be fed on that. Basically give them the shit. And all the psychopaths, rapists, paedophiles, murderers, send the whole bleeding lot there. That would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? You think it'd be, well, you wouldn't need to be, well, I'd abolish the BBC, but it'd be best for entertainment, wouldn't it? People would be popping in saying, oh yes, Tony Blair's on a crapper at the moment. And it'd be like sort of communist China. They'd all wear these denim dungarees, and there'd be massive inflation there. And one thing they would get though, which we've been denied of, weapons, so they can blow their own brains out if they want to. But really, seriously, I'm totally against capital punishment. I don't agree with it. I would not like to see it, but I think putting them on an island on their own, I think what would happen, there would be a pyramid structure, and the most ruthless, evil bastards would get to the top. I mean, can you imagine, you know, there'd be Tony Blair in this horrible, shitty little flat with his missus, and above him would be Bill Gates, George Soros next door, the Rothschilds, you know, they'd all be in their dungarees, all going to work, 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And oh boy, we could have some fun, couldn't we? Give them a dose of what they're giving us. Oh, and of course, it would be like a smart city they would be in. And again, we would be the warders. We would be watching them. And of course, if they tried to commit suicide, you'd have the thought police there. And their family would go without a little bit. But that would be a problem, you see, because a lot of these psychos, their children are not psychos. So that would be a bit of a difficult one, wouldn't it? But they would never be able to escape. I was actually thinking that they could use Devon Island, where the NASA fake their moon missions. Oh, sorry, I mean Mars missions. We don't go and fake it somewhere else, couldn't they? Now, allegedly, I believe. So, it's Rob Random. Hello. Hello, Rob. We got here, what was it? Go check the link out on Tony Blair on your last upload. I certainly will, because I actually did if you go back about a year, because you know, allegedly, and I'll see what the next one is. Yes, you've obviously seen my video of that. I thought it was be a marvelous business opportunity. Very briefly, he was allegedly, I believe, in the early 80s, he was, again, allegedly called to the public lavatory in Longacre, and he was charged, and he gave his middle name. Now, I think that's a golden business opportunity, really, because we could put a blue plaque outside the toilet, and you could have a Tony Blair lookalike with his trousers down, and he could pose with Japanese tourists, you know, hi, look, a Tony Blair with his trousers down. It'd be pretty good, couldn't it? And you could have a restaurant there, a themed restaurant, where you could have food. I'm going to have to type this in because I can't. It's where you could serve this type of food. Can you excuse me? I'm talking about the Tony's. I'm talking about the Victorian food, of course, which is a sort of a meat dish. I wouldn't be talking about anything else, would I? Come on, you know, I mean, you know me, I wouldn't make jokes like that. So that would be quite an interesting cuisine dish. And if you think I'm joking, go onto the BBC cooking website and you'll see recipes for on there. Again, it's a Victorian cuisine. So, you know, it'd be like a sort of a tourist industry thing, couldn't it? It'd be quite interesting. Right. He says he was convicted. He was convicted, and this is the way the story goes. He was taken into, oh bloody hell, what's that? To think I used to work around a corner to that place. I hasten to edit architecture, nothing to do with toilets. What was it now? Oh Christ! It was a famous police station, and I think it was shortly after he came to power. All the records got destroyed in a fire. Mysterious, isn't it? But some of them do still exist. So yes, yes, he got caught in this Carsey apparently. Another bloke. Just goes to show you what we got in power, doesn't it? Yes, and paid a Yeah, I think he probably did. He did pay. I don't know anything more about that. Yeah, I think he was convicted. Yeah, but let's face it, those in power have always got something over them that they can be blackmailed with. I mean, you had Obama and Michelle. You got Tony, Toilet Tony, Toilet Time Tony. And did you know that his wife Sherry Bluth, her great, I don't know how many greats it goes back, 3 or 4, great grandfather was John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated President Lincoln. So there we go. So that's Abraham Lincoln got shot by. So it's quite interesting. But legend has it that John Wilkes Booth was paid by the banking families, but that's another question. Right, now it's time to, if the vicar's round to tea, to hastily let the person out. Mind you, I'm not religious, so I don't know any vicars. And it's not the naughty vicar joke, it's the constipated prostitute joke. And it's not that dirty. Prostitute goes to the doctors, you see. She says, she didn't feel very right. She'd been a bit constipated, you see. The doctor says, have you had a checkup recently? She said, no, but I had a Scotsman last night. It's a terrible joke, isn't it? Anyway, that's it for this evening, I'm afraid. And join me next week. I've decided to do a mystery guest one week and go solo the next week, and a mystery guest the next week. So who's going to be the mystery guest next week? And I'm hoping to get on to things that go bump in the night. And I'm not talking about Tony Blair. I'm talking about parallel universes, and things like that. And it's quite interesting. And evil entities, which I think do exist. So just a couple of more. What we got here? We got all one big. Oh yeah, the mafia. That's it. Because I really do believe that if you thinking of starting a political party to do good, it's on a par to starting a branch of the mafia and thinking you can convert them all to Jehovah's Witnesses. You probably have more chance of that because the whole system is bloody corrupt. And I think that any body that starts a political party would have to start literally a separate government with their own police force, their own army. So, if you had people going about their business as usual, and we had our own currency, and the police turn up, this person's police force would outnumber them and say politely, lawfully, excuse me, gentlemen, please go home. We are the police around here. You're not. You're for the fake mafia government. We are for the honest government. So, very polite, very nice. Anyway, and it says here, take care, don't wear a mask and smile. That's right, I don't wear a mask actually. So, sorry, obedience muzzle, I think you mean. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Please share this and ring the little bell so you can be notified when this boring git, such as me, comes on again. And I'll see you back here next Monday, hopefully with a mystery guest, or it might be me on my own, you never know. So have a nice week, and remember to subscribe, share, tell others, and ring the little ding ding bell because it doesn't cost you anything. So it's nice and free, and I like free. And have a nice week. Thank you, and good night.